everybody, we're continuing on talking about the part 1 of Christine's wedding. Let's go. So we are in Moab, Utah, and everybody's arriving for the rehearsal. Before the rehearsal dinner, they were going on this boat ride. And as everybody was arriving, David gets out of the car. Truly's already there. There's a bunch of people there already and a bunch of people arriving. And when the groups kind of merged, David kind of ended up in front of Truly, and it really bothered me at first that he didn't hug Truly. I really wanted him to just go, hey, in there. I mean, maybe he already saw her earlier that day, and then you wouldn't hug somebody again when you saw him. And I said, or it's very possible, and again, we've talked about reasons why Truly may be a little bit quirky. Truly may not like hugs. She might not want to be touched. She might not like hugs. We did see in the goodbye scene with her father that it looked like she was about to jump out of his skin as he was giving her a hug goodbye, that she really wasn't hugging back. And then she was like trying to get away, and eventually she just literally physically walked away from him. So she just might not be a kid who likes hugs, and David might know that, and so he didn't even attempt to do it. So I just want to put that out there. That was my whole thought process. Bugged me at first, and then I let myself think through it, and then I thought, actually, he might be doing her a solid and making her feel more comfortable by not.
Good point.
So they all walk up to this big, huge tent that they're going to be eating under for the rehearsal dinner. And I was just touched to see Janelle's and Christine's kids get together and hug each other with the most genuine, heartfelt, long holding hugs. There was Garrison and, was it Aspen or Isabel? They were hugging, and they just had such big smiles, and the kids on both sides of the family just seemed genuinely tickled pink that they were all together there.
Hi, Gabe. Hi, baby. How are you? So good to see you. This is the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
I mean, a lot of them live far away from each other. We got North Carolina and Utah, Arizona. And isn't Aspen in Vegas still? I think Aspen might be in Las Vegas. Anyway, they don't get a chance to see each other that often. Christine explains that the wedding planner was not there that evening. I don't know if that was something that was planned or not planned. I'm guessing not planned, because usually the wedding planner is there for the rehearsal. But for whatever reason, or maybe not. Maybe she has a day of wedding planner. My daughter just had a day of wedding planner. Oh, no, she was there for the rehearsal. I take it back. My other daughter didn't have a wedding planner at all, but we kind of had like a friend fill in as day of helper. So Christine says the wedding planner's not here, therefore Aspen is going to take charge. And then Christine had some nice words to say about Aspen in like the talking head about how Aspen is really good about taking charge and getting things done. Kind of the same thing she said about McKelty. But Aspen got everybody to go to where they needed to. Before that happened, Christine thanked everyone for being there. Before she thanked them, she was trying to explain the order of how it was going to go down the aisle. That Truly's going to go first because she'll have the rings, and then it's going to be Peyton walking Christine down the aisle. And then up at the front, he'll pass her off to Christine's father.
I love that.
Because Christine's father's been ill. He's been ill for 15 years, she said. And he has good days and bad days. So because we don't know if it'll be a good day or a bad day, they were just planning for everything. And Peyton was going to walk her down the aisle. And Dad was going to pick her up at the end and walk her the rest of the way to her future husband. Which, can I just put a side note here? And let's just take a minute and go ahead and talk about it.
We need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Francine.
Gwendolyn wasn't at any of these festivities, and it's my understanding she did not show up at the wedding at all either. And on her Patreon, she explained that she was busy with school. Something else is going on. I've heard rumblings that she was upset about Peyton walking Christine down the aisle. I can't think of, short of her being physically ill and incapable of getting there, or possibly in the middle of like a rotation that you can't get out of. Like you're in the medical field and you're on days or nights or whatever, and there's no switching. And because her wedding was planned more last minute, she couldn't get out of it. But like to even show up for a couple hours, she didn't have a couple hours to even show up for the wedding. No, there's more going on. And I think it bothers me even more. I mean, this is her mom.
I can't even begin to comprehend.
Christine has been so supportive of Gwendolyn, so supportive of Gwendolyn, that for Gwendolyn to do this to Christine, I can't think, there's nothing she can say that's going to excuse it for me. And on top of it, Gwendolyn has her whole Patreon platform where she reviews Sister Wives things. Like she is using Sister Wives as a form of income. Like she put herself out there in that way. I could almost see if it was like Janelle's oldest, Logan. And he's like, listen, there's going to be cameras there. I'm not that comfortable. I haven't been on camera all this time. I love you. I support you, but I'm not going to be there for the wedding. Still would bug me. I will say, still would bug me because I know that there's a way that he can sign something that says I don't want my face on camera. But no, all of Janelle's kids were there and all of Christine's kids were there. But Gwendolyn chose not to. Gwendolyn is an adult. She's what, 21 years old now? She knows better. And you know what? She will regret it. But there's no going back. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to like the immaturity and how Christine didn't want McKelty to get married so early on because she was concerned about her level of maturity. I mean, Christine is a pretty fun-loving, easygoing person, and half of her kids are very put together and mature and soft-spoken and well thought. I don't know, what's the word I want to say? Think through what they want to say before they speak.
You clearly don't.
And then the other half are fly off the cuff, say whatever comes to their mind. I mean, maybe it's the Cody gene. I don't know. But I think a level of impulsivity is what led to this decision. You can't convince me otherwise. So don't even try. Don't even write in the comments. It's okay. It's not okay. It was her mother's wedding day. Her mother, who has never been loved by a man before in her life, finally found love.
And she knows it.
Show up. That's what I got to say about it. And to my understanding, she didn't even like post something on social media that day saying, wish I could have been there. I heard it was lovely, sending all my love, or, like nothing, crickets. I know she's on the spectrum and, like maybe we can attribute some of it to that, but she's married to somebody not on the spectrum. She's going to regret it. She's really going to regret it. And I'm sad for the time that she does regret it and then goes and apologizes to her mom and says, I wish I was there. Because now Christine's going to start thinking, oh, how great would it have been if all of my kids would have been there? And then it's going to hurt her even more. Like there's no winning. There's no winning in this situation. Do you remember how mad we were at Cody and Robin for showing up to Gwendolyn's wedding like 2 or 3 hours late? I mean, we were irate over that, but they did eventually show up with the weakest excuses of why they weren't there for the whole thing, how they missed the whole ceremony, but they just showed up at the very end for, like a few minutes and then eventually ducked out. But they showed up. I can't believe I'm saying it, but like, Cody and Robin are better in this situation than Gwendolyn is.
Oh, whoa.
Maybe it's an age thing. I mean, I think maturity is about the same. Maybe it's an age thing. With age comes wisdom, I always say. So as I started saying before, Christine is explaining to everybody the order of how they're going to come down. That's all that's coming down because there's no bridesmaids and there's no maid of honor or anything like that. Mother of the bride. We're not having anyone else proceed down. It's just going to be that. And as she's talking about it, she starts like fighting back tears and she interrupts herself in the middle of explaining this. And she just says, thank you all for being here. It's like you could tell that she was like in the mode of like get things done. And she's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And as she's explaining it to everyone, she's looking out over the crowd and she's seeing everybody's faces. And she just emotionally broke down for a second, was trying to hold it together and not cry, and just stopped midway and said, thank you all for being here. It was a touching moment. I liked it.
And then it's going to be my mom. Thank you all for being here so much. Babe.
Over to the side of the wedding venue there, we have Christine's mom standing with Isabel and Aspen, and the three of them are talking.
Which, like, worse, better tomorrow?
It'll be better.
Crying?
Oh.
You're crying today?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I got a little bit emotional.
You did?
Yeah.
That's what Mom wants.
It worked.
What were you feeling when you saw your daughter walking down the aisle?
Christine's mom's name is Annie, and Annie says, oh, there's going to be more crying tomorrow. And Aspen said, oh, were you emotional? And then Isabel said, I got real emotional during the rehearsal, because it was right after the rehearsal, and Isabel's like, I got emotional during the rehearsal, which I thought was sweet, because Isabel doesn't seem, I would say, I don't know, I don't want to say, it's hard to judge who's the most, but Isabel doesn't strike me as an extremely emotional person, and maybe she is. She's a girl of few words, and she's more shy, so you don't get to know her as much, but it was really sweet to see her say that she got kind of choked up during the rehearsal. And then the producer says to Annie, Annie, what were you feeling during the rehearsal? And before Annie answers the question, Isabel says to Annie, yeah, and what did you feel compared to her first wedding? And then Annie said, I wasn't even there.
Also, versus the first time she walked down the aisle, how was that?
I wasn't even there.
No?
I mean, I can't even be there. Oh my God.
Christine explains in a talking head that when you're in the AUB church, the only people who are permitted in marriage ceremonies are members of the AUB. And you know what? I think that's Mormon in general. I'm almost positive. This is an LDS thing, which makes me wonder if Annie left the LDS church altogether. But I know when LDS get married in the temple, you have to be an LDS member to attend the wedding. Otherwise, you can't go into the temple. For the sealing part of it anyway. I think you can go in. They have like part that's just the traditional wedding. And then when it comes to the sealing, I don't know if it's a separate room they move to or how that works. But the sealing can only happen with LDS members. And because Christine's wedding wasn't a typical wedding, it essentially only was a sealing. It was only a marriage covenant sealing because already there was no legal marriage. That probably was the only ceremony that they had. And so Annie couldn't be a part of it because she had left the church before Christine got married.
Christine is just the most amazing, courageous person I know. She's been so incredible in my life. I love her so much, and I'm so excited for her.
We cut to a talking head with Cody. Sorry, all of you who don't like it when I talk about what people look like, but I can't. I just can't go without saying something. Cody looks like he's trying to imitate, who is that? Don Johnson, circa 1985 Miami Vice. He always wore the t-shirts with the blazer on top of it, the whole Miami Vice look. So Cody has the t-shirt. He has a blazer, but he has the wrong kind of blazer. He has a formal blazer, so they don't go together at all. Good, nice try, but he like missed the mark. And then he has like one of those gemstone, hippie kind of gemstone necklaces too. The same one that I think that he was wearing the other day when he did the look back episode or talk back. What was it? No, talk back. When he did the talk back episode, he had that same necklace on. I don't know why necklaces on guys seem like they're trying too hard, but I think some guys can pull it off. I don't think he can, but that's my opinion. And he also embodies that whole thing too, because he kind of has his hair slicked back. So it's that slick back hair, 80s, anyway. So the slick back hair is a new look. This is the first time we've seen the curls with gel in it, holding it back. He had a different thing going, just a lot of hairspray holding everything in place in the one-on-one interviews. But this is a full-on gel, slicked, wet gel look. And, I mean, it's hard to say if I like it or not because the curls are just too much for me. But I think it's better. Surprisingly, I think it's better just because I'm so used to those one ringlet hanging down in the front and then this whole open space and then the rest of his head. Like he thinks that ringlet's going to cover it up. Like he's trying to fool somebody. Like nobody can see all the bald spots. So at least this way, by slicking it back, nobody's hiding anything. The balding temples, they're just there to see. It's fine. You're a man in your 50s. Most men are balding. It's okay. Or what I wrote down when I first saw this, I just wrote, just shave it already. Just shave it already. I mean, she's often shaves the sides and he shaves up the back, and then he just has the center part of his head from here to here that hangs down in these girly curls. I don't know. I just wrote, just shave it already. I also wrote that it looks like the mop on top, which makes me laugh now that I think about it, because that sounds like it would be a really good Dr. Seuss book, The Mop on Top. It's not a mop on top. It's curls for girls, like Baby Bop. It's oodles of noodles that flip and flop. A hair violation that's worn by Pop. Look at the desperation station on top. I don't know.
Dr. Seuss. Not really, but should be.
I'm not a poet.
Clearly.
Not a poet. I'm not Dr. Seuss. But I bet you all can come up with 2-line stanzas that would be great to refer to the curls, the mop, the ringlets, the noodles, the whatever. We can probably come up with a whole Dr. Seuss book. So anyway, that's what Cody looks like for those of you who didn't see. Cody in this interview says, my wedding to Christine was lackluster. I had a 1,000-yard stare, and I had 2 other wives that weren't really in the best of emotional condition. What does that mean? Makes it sound like they're mentally unstable. They weren't in the best of emotional condition. Cody, in your words. What are you trying to say? Whatever you're trying to say, just say it. Just say it. Why do we have to do this all the time? Why do we have to play this game where you pick words that are kind of like we talk around things and sort of about things, but we can never say what we mean to say? It's almost like it physically hurts him to just speak truth. He can avoid getting zapped by the electrocution machine by talking around things. And if he ever says what he means, she really bothered me. Zap. So he's learned to just talk around, not say it. It's an explanation. It's not a good one, but I don't know why he does this. All right. So he had a 1,000-yard stare, meaning, and I believe I heard this before too. I think it might even be in the book, which we're going to read.
Ready for book club?
That he was just staring off and he wasn't emotionally connected to her or anything. And yet they both went through with it. I don't know.
I had a 1,000-yard stare, and I had 2 other wives who weren't really in the best of emotional condition.
And he has 2 other wives that weren't in the best emotional state. I mean, it also makes it sound like they had some sort of psychiatric disorder or mental illness or something, right? It's not a nice way to describe the other 2 wives. I really don't know what he's trying to say. Okay, we'll go on. He goes on to say, I just don't think they were close enough to Christine at the time.
I just don't think they were close enough to Christine at the time. It wasn't a great day.
So Christine had known Cody for 3 years, which means they were in the same circles and going to the same dances and the same kind of things that where Mary would have been. Because obviously, if he's married to Mary for a couple years before Christine, then as she's friends with Cody, then Mary's in the circle too. She would know of Janelle as well as soon as she married Cody. Yet Robin comes into the family and they don't know her at all, but he goes ahead and marries her in less than a year. And she lived hours away the whole time, so they really didn't get to know each other. That's okay for Robin, but here they weren't close enough to Christine at the time, so I guess implying that made the wedding even worse because the girls weren't all close with each other. And he goes on to say it wasn't a great day. So the reason it wasn't a great day, everything he said in here besides the fact that he had a 1,000-yard stare, that he was staring off, implying he wasn't emotionally connected. So there was that, but everything else are the sister wives' problems. The other sister wives were not in a good emotional condition. The other sister wives weren't close enough to Christine. It was everybody else's fault that they shouldn't have gotten married, not Cody's.
Not my fault!
But Cody redeems himself, and I'm not even going to turn this into a game. No joke. Cody says, I hope Christine gets her great day with her wedding So if she's doing something really wonderful, spectacular, and beautiful, and David's digging on her, good for them.
I hope Christine gets her great day with her wedding. So if she's doing something really wonderful, spectacular, and beautiful, and David's digging on her, good for them.
Now, at first I thought it was a dig that he started to say, and David's digging on her, as if to imply, of course he's not, but if he were to. But I don't think it really meant that way. If he would have said, and if David's digging all of that craziness, if she has a spectacular, beautiful, over-the-top wedding and David digs it, then okay. I doubt he is. But he didn't say that. He said, and David's digging on her. So I'm going to let this go.
Are you sure about that?
I'm going to say Cody was sincere in saying she gets her great fairy tale over-the-top wedding, and David is madly in love with her at the same time. Good for Christine. She deserves it.
You've lost your mind.
This particular talking head, when Robin's not sitting next to him on the thing and he's just on the couch at the director's house that lives next door in Flagstaff where they do all their talking head interviews, he seemed genuine. He didn't seem genuine at all outside sitting on that log or wherever they were. That was such a forced interview. But this seemed sincere. He almost seemed like he might tear up.
Oh, come on now.
Like this was almost the first moment where he was actually letting go. That was my interpretation of it. I might be completely off base and eat these words down the road.
Yep.
So the rehearsal back in Moab is done. So now they're going on to that floating boat that I mentioned. It's essentially a floating bar. They just have a bunch of drinks on it. And for 45 minutes, they're floating on the Colorado River there. And everyone is laughing. And Christine chugs a beer at one point. Which she says she's never done before. She's also never had tattoos. And like after leaving Cody, she's become a different person. But really, she says, she really hasn't changed that much. Janelle gets up to give a speech on the boat. They had a microphone on the boat. And Christine said, like, tomorrow there's not going to be time for speeches or anything like that. It's going to be, the wedding, and then we're all going to eat and we're going to dance, we're going to party, and there's not going to be a lot of that. If anybody wants to say something, they can do it now. And all they showed was Janelle, right away raising her hand and going, I want to make a speech. But she didn't really have a speech prepared, but maybe she did. Again, we don't know with editing if something was cut out. But they did show that when she got up there, when she was trying to talk at the beginning, she had a very difficult time doing that.
This is my sister wife, Janelle. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. I know.
This is a fairy tale, and I'm so excited to be part of this with you. And thank you for making me part of the deal, for loving my children and letting me love yours.
Yes.
And I'm part of the deal, and I'm so grateful.
You are part of the deal.
She was getting choked up. She was starting to cry. And we don't see Janelle cry hardly ever. Maybe once? I'm trying to think. I think maybe after the big fight with Cody, she may have teared up. So this was like a very unusual scene for Janelle, and very touching. And she basically just said, I'm just so happy for you, and I'm so glad that that I'm a part of this, and that now we're together in this, and we're a part of, and Christine was just going, yes, you are, you're a part of it. And that's really all she said. Again, or maybe it got edited out, I don't know. We cut to a talking head with Janelle where she said the natural thing that a lot of people are saying now is, okay, Janelle, well, you were the next one to leave. Are you going to get married? And she said that she has big plans for herself and, what did she say? She didn't say travel. Adventure. She had big plans for herself and future adventures.
And it does not involve getting married again, or even having a man around, really.
Dating somebody's not on my radar. Like, I've got other fish to fry. And I'm hoping contacting a lawyer and suing for everything that's hers is part of that plan.
Please, this is serious.
Maybe she'll fall in love with the lawyer. Okay, we cut to a talking head interview with Mary at this point.
Cody has said a lot of things in the past couple of years about the fact that he never was ever in love with me and Janelle and Christine.
And she goes on to say, Christine deserves this.
She deserves to be in love and she deserves to have a happy marriage, and I'm really excited for her.
And Mary adds that she expects that for herself in the future too, someday. She doesn't have intention of being alone the rest of her life. Yay, Mary.
I anticipate that in the future, the same will happen for me. You know, I don't plan on living solo the rest of my life.
At this point, after they got off the boat, you see Christine sees in the crowd that her dad had just arrived. And she's like, oh, Dad's here, Dad's here. And there's just a really tender moment that she's hugging him and talking to him. And I don't think he knew that she was mic'd at the time. And obviously the cameras were watching him, but her back was to the cameras and they were like whispering in each other's ears with their faces real close to each other. Her dad, whose name is Rex, said, it's going to be way different than it's been for the past 20 years or so. And Christine said, I'm going to be loved, Dad.
Honey,
Love you too,
you're gonna have a lot of fun, hon.
Love you too.
It's gonna be a way different years than those last 20 were.
Yeah.
And Rex said, oh, honey, he was just bawling. I can't believe I lost her.
He was on.
We love Dad.
Oh, honey, he was just bawling. I can't believe I lost her. Oh, honey.
And he goes on to say, oh, honey, here you are with a wonderful man. And I'm telling you, and Christine's whispering in his ear, and she says, I know, Dad, he's amazing. And Rex says to Christine, he loves you a lot.
Here you are with a wonderful man. I'm telling you.
He's amazing. What happened? Let me see.
He loves you a lot.
I know. He loves me so much.
Christine says, I know he loves me so much. And Rex says, you're going to be treated good. And Christine says, yes, Dad, yes. And Rex adds, for a very long time. And Christine says, yes, Dad, I'm going to be treated great, Dad.
You're going to be treated good.
Yes, Dad. Yes. So good. Yes, I'm going to be treated great.
Time goes by so fast.
I know. It's weird, right? No, I'm 51, Dad. It's weird.
That can't be.
In the Talking Head interview, Christine said, I think he's been upset for a while. He was definitely frustrated with Cody, and he's thrilled to see this now. Christine adds that her dad has seen her sad for a while, and he knows that she's had a hard time. I think Cody is not going to like this scene. Just going out on a limb here. When the head of the AUB church says that Cody basically did his daughter wrong, that's not a good look for Cody. Not that Cody's interested in getting back into the church, but I'm sure he has lots of people that he knows. You know, Cody loves being the center of attention. And it's got to just bug him to know that all those friends and family that were sort of left behind in the AUB church are now going to see this and really, if they didn't before, really not like Cody now. It was truly a tender moment between a daughter and her father before her wedding, and I loved it. Her dad seems so sweet. Can't believe he's the head of that church. Okay, sorry. A little personal opinion slid in there.
We were all thinking it. I just said it.
Hey there, you've made it halfway through the video. Thank you for watching. Take this moment to subscribe if you haven't and share this video with a friend. We come back from break and we're at one of the B&B rentals and Christine walks in with Truly. Well, let me rephrase that. Truly comes busting through the door first and yells out to everybody, "Hello, my children!" All right.
Hello, my children! I'm getting married!
And everyone plays along and smiles and waves and says, hey. And I was looking around the room and I was just impressed. Peyton's sitting on the floor playing with some boy who I'm thinking is Maddie's son. Because he's definitely too big to be one of the twins. And he's lifting him up and playing with him like that. And then next to him are, I believe, David's daughter and daughter-in-law. And then one of them had a little girl in front of her. It wasn't one of the twins, again, because it was a girl. It had a pink cast on her arm. Unless, I don't know, it could maybe be, wasn't Evie the one that had issues with her hand. She had like a deformity of some sort. I don't think it was the boy. I thought it was the girl, right? I don't know. Write down below. You guys will remember better than me. I really need to go back and do rewatching. But maybe it was Evie. And if it is, that makes me so happy too, because here was David's family really playing with her, and she seemed more than happy to be there. But I don't know who that was exactly. And then there was McKelty and Tony sitting on the end of the couch, and they had a girl with them then. So I'm guessing that that was Avalon, because we haven't seen Avalon yet. So maybe the twins were down for a nap or something, because I didn't see them anywhere around. But just seeing this mixture of family and different families on both sides too, David's family and then Christine's different kids and their families, and the kids being mixed up amongst each other, and them all being so comfortable with each other that Peyton is like playing with the boy and he's just like happy. He seemed like he was maybe 4, 5, somewhere around that age. It was a really beautiful scene. It really was. That wasn't the whole point or purpose of the scene, but like I had to pause and go back and watch it again, and it just made me smile to see the way that everyone was interacting with each other. Christine comes in and she hugs all her kids, and then Isabel comes in the scene, so she was there as well. Everybody's probably. I think that house was for all of her kids to stay in. So hugs were going around. And as she's hugging Isabel, then Peyton gets up and he's giving her a hug. McKelty gets up and she says,
No, I was coming. She loves me more. I got a hug first. I'm just excited. I feel like we've been building up for this, and
wait, she loves me more. I get a hug.
I desperately need to be the center of attention.
It's almost like if you scripted it and you were reading it and you were an English teacher and you saw them they're like, no, she can't say that again. That's just like, nobody would just keep harping like that because that's just annoying. But no, that's what happened. And Peyton said to her, don't, go away. And she did. They're walking away. But she was smiling and Peyton was smiling too. Again, this is how McKelty interacts, and this is how she has fun. So the siblings all know it and they just play along. I don't know if we should keep playing along because I feel like it encourages the behavior, but that's my personal opinion. I've kind of lived my life on the philosophy of it's not a joke if nobody's laughing. If you're the only one laughing, not a joke. Could just be mean what you're saying. Could be a jab. Could be sarcasm. In her case, I think it's just awkward, uncomfortable, inappropriate comment/timing.
Is that all?
All right, we cut to a scene where Christine comes into the door after she's ready. She's getting ready. It's the wedding day time now. This is the wedding day, actually, that I just described, her coming into the room with Truly saying, "Hello, my children." So Christine is standing there. She has like one of those silky robes on over her shirt and jeans that she's wearing, like those standard silky robes that all brides and bridesmaids wear when they're getting ready. And McKelty says, "Mom, where are your pajamas?" And Christine said, "Why do I need pajamas?" And McKelty said, "Because you're supposed to be the bride getting ready in her pajamas."
Got it.
And Christine just goes on to say, well, I'm rewriting everything, which is true. She's doing this, I don't want to say necessarily non-conventional way, but she's not doing everything by the book as the standard bride who's 24 years old is getting married for the first time does. Christine goes on and explains a little bit about how there's not going to be bridesmaids or groomsmen or anything like that in the wedding. And that when she's up there at the altar, it's just going to be the officiant, I'm going to say the minister, but he's not a minister, the officiant, and Christine and David. And she wants it that way because she had to share her marriage for so many years. And so this is sort of like that symbol of breaking that tradition, and that now it's just her and David. I get that. Janelle then gives her comments on her perspective of David and Christine together.
It just seems right that David and Christine are getting married. I know she's loved. I know she's cherished. I know she's wanted. I know all of these things now.
She seems very happy for Christine, and she adds,
and it feels like something that was kind of wrong has now been fixed.
That's kind of a dig too, right? A wrong was fixed. Her marriage to Cody was the wrong, and now it's getting fixed by David.
He's not gonna like this.
Cody's not gonna like that. David's fixing Cody's problem. I kind of love it. Okay. Maddie's sitting down now with Hunter and Caleb, and they're having like a quick little interview there, and Maddie's reflecting on it, and she has some really good insights, which I think also show a high level of maturity for her, because I know that she is very estranged from Cody right now, and she refuses to let her kids be with Cody. She's saying something about she doesn't find Cody to be a safe person or something like that. I don't know. The safe word goes all over this family.
Can we please use a different word?
I don't know what happened between them. I don't know what he said or did that makes her uncomfortable to have her kids around him, but that's where they are right now. And yet, for being estranged from Cody, she has some words that I don't want to say are kind, but are thoughtful. She said that she's basically very happy for Christine and very excited for her new life and that she loves David and all that, but it's just weird not having the rest of the family there.
It's so weird because I'm very sad that the other family's not here and that there is animosity and that there is problems. But I'm also like, I love David and David's family.
And she's sad that the divorce happened. She's happy for Christine. She's happy for where she is and for where she's going. She's just sad that the divorce had to happen. And you know what? That's truth, right? A divorce is sad. I mean, in this case was very much necessary, but that doesn't mean that it's still not sad.
It's complex because it's like, yeah, I like him, but I also am really sad that this marriage has ended.
In the talking head breakaway with David, I love how he says, I 110% believe that I should get married and I found my unicorn. Well, that's a sweet thing to say. I like that. Found my unicorn.
I know 110% that is the right thing to get married. I feel like I found my unicorn, where it's something that I didn't think I could touch, but in reality I can, and it's awesome.
Christine is a unicorn. She's one of a kind, in the best way. At this point on the wedding day, the guys are all meeting in one of the rooms. It looks like there's a whole bunch of little cabins all lined up in that area that people can rent out. And so the guys were all getting together and just talking. David's son-in-law, Corbin, is going to be the officiant for the wedding. And he said that Christine had 3 wishes for the wedding. 1, that it would be short. 2, that he would talk about his love for them. I don't know if he misspoke there and he meant their love for each other, but that's not what he said. I listened to it like 3 times. And then 3, that he would talk about finding love later in life. Maybe he just misspoke and he meant their love for each other. Anyway.
And I was told I can't make any inappropriate jokes, which I originally asked if I could. So I got told what was off limits. But Christine had 3 things that she wanted. She wanted it short. She wanted me to talk about my love for them. And she wanted me to talk about finding love later in life.
And it was clear that it was supposed to be appropriate. No inappropriate jokes were allowed to be had. McKelty, Aspen, and Isabel give a bunch of gifts to Christine beforehand, which are symbolic of something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, but they weren't necessarily old, new, borrowed, blue. They were, well, we had like borrowed in that McKelty is loaning her earrings that she wore at her wedding to Christine to wear. She's also letting her use the knife that she used to cut the stuff, but I think the old, new, borrowed blue is usually something that's like on the female. Anyway, you can do whatever you want. There's no rules. The new was Aspen? Oh, yeah, Aspen gave her a bracelet that had both of their initials on it. And then we have something that's a tradition. So this is where I think they just kind of broke away from it. And Isabel found a penny and she stuck it to the bottom of Christine's shoe that she's going to wear to the reception and one to the bottom of the shoe that she's going to wear down to the aisle thing. And apparently it's a German tradition. Christine, I bet they are German heritage. She looks German. Certainly her daughters all look German. I'm German. Anyway, so I didn't know this was a German tradition. Apparently it's good luck to stick a penny on the bottom of your shoe on your wedding day. It brings you good luck in your marriage the entire time. So they were just cute little things that they did for their mom. You know, anytime you do something that shows thoughtfulness and that you took time to think about them and plan or prepare something, it means a lot to a person, especially if your kids are doing it for you. So the girls are all very excited, and Christine's just commenting that she knew they would be supportive, but she's very touched at how excited they all seem to be about her getting married.
I knew my girls were excited about me getting married, and they're excited for David. I didn't expect them to be this excited. They're having a good time with me getting married.
Girls, oh my gosh.
You're really sharp.
Love you. Love you, Mom. I love you too.
You're getting
Happy wedding day.
We have Aspen doing Isabel's hair in the bathroom. And Isabel said, "Do you think that it's odd that people are referring to David as our stepfather?" And Aspen did that same kind of weird face the last time she heard it, like, yeah, I don't know. Really, stepfather?
Oh, thank you.
Do you think it's weird that they're calling, that he's being more referred to as our stepdad?
And this is what Aspen says about it.
I wouldn't call him that.
I don't know. Because I feel like because I'm older,
he's our mom's husband.
Yeah. Do you want him to be your stepdad? Is that like something you want to refer to him as?
No, not really, but it's not. It's just because I don't know what to do with it. It's because that's like foreign to me.
It does have to be weird if you're in your 20s that technically you have another stepfather. But, you know, they kept saying stepdad, and I think that made it feel even more personal because they refer to Cody as dad. So to say stepdad felt weirder. If they were saying stepfather, I think it would have separated it a little bit more and been a little less personal and would have been easier to say, yeah, he's my stepfather. But I understand where they're coming from. He's the man that married their mom. And can I just say, in this particular part, as I am watching the two of them in the bathroom, Aspen is channeling her inner Gwyneth Paltrow if there ever was any. Honestly. Just look at her. She is stunning. I mean, they're all beautiful. They're all drop dead gorgeous, but Aspen, my goodness. And I'm watching and I'm like, why does she seem familiar to me? I kept thinking like, no, I know that's Aspen, but yet she reminds me of somebody. And then finally it hit me. She looks just like Gwyneth Paltrow. Gorge. We cut to Cody. And Cody says that he doesn't think any of the kids will call David dad or stepdad.
Wrong.
Because Truly's the youngest and she's like 13 or 14 at this time. So they're kind of beyond that dad, stepdad age, young age.
To be honest with you, I mean, Truly's the youngest of all of that group, and she's old enough, I don't think she'll ever call him dad or stepdad or refer to him as stepdad, maybe. But it doesn't matter. I mean, this is all their choice, whatever they choose to do.
And Cody, in a very mature manner, adds at the very end, but you know what, they can do whatever they want to do, and you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, I feel like he's finally resolved that Christine's moved on. I mean, it took a marriage to do it, but I think, I don't know, the whole weird scene at the beginning makes me wonder what's going on, but maybe Robin stirs stuff up in him that kind of puts him on a whole nother level. Not in a good way. We go back to the interview with Maddie and Hunter and Caleb, and Hunter says Christine has always been the party animal, which is so funny that she's called a party animal because they didn't drink at all. It just goes to show you how this girl can have a good time no matter what, right? Can you imagine now adding alcohol to the mix? Sometimes she's probably off the charts at times. I bet they have to wrangle her in. It's kind of like a Amish kid going through Rumspringa. That's where Christine is right now. It's just like, woohoo, a man, intimacy, alcohol, wine. I can do whatever I want. All right. So Hunter refers to Christine as a party animal, and he adds that David is kind of the same way. And Maddie chimes in and agrees and says, yeah, like Christine's idea of a good time is everybody getting together and everybody just having a really good time. That's how they defined her as party animal. Life is a party kind of thing.
I mean, Christine, as everyone knows in the family, has always been the party animal. And I think the reason David and her work out so much is because David feels the exact same way.
Their version of a good time is everybody being around, having a good time.
And Caleb adds afterwards, I love this line by Caleb. He said, he lets her have fun.
He lets her have fun.
Yeah.
And he enjoys it too. And he's just sitting in the back like, are you having fun?
And I like that. Because Cody was sent so many mixed messages to Christine. At times he'd be like, I just want you to be more fun. You're supposed to be the fun one. You're supposed to be more, you know, like, don't complain to me about the sister wife. Don't talk to me about that. Like, you're supposed to just be the fun one. But then there are times that she's the fun one and that annoyed him. And he'd be like, stop, like, enough already. Like, he just didn't like her. She could do no right by him. Whereas David thinks her quirkiness is one of his absolute favorite traits. And he just lets her be the fun one and have a good time. He embraces it and he welcomes it and he loves that about her. It's so good. She found her soulmate. They look good together too, don't they? I always think couples that look alike, that look similar, you know, like they really look alike. They look very similar, like they could be brother or sister, whatever. They're not. But I always think when people look like they could be brother or sister, that they make a really striking looking married couple. Is that crazy?
A little bit.
That's probably crazy. I also think the dog owners look like their dogs.
Now you lost me.
I guess I should say the dog looks like their owner. They really match. You know, like round-faced people tend to have round-faced dogs.
Yeah, let's start teaching. I think you're joking, but great.
More long banana-faced people tend to have those skinny dogs. I don't know. I just think that anyway. All right, let's go on. Can I add another side note here?
Not again.
We should play a game. How many times can Jenny get off track in one video? I just want to say, I've heard many people slam Caleb for being so much older than Maddie. And so when he was sitting there next to her, like they look so cute together too. And he just had like such a great comment right here that after he said that, I thought, I just think they're great together. And I went and I looked it up. Caleb was born in 1987 and Maddie was born in 1995. So that's 12 years. Okay, not your normal distance between people, but not that significant. My husband's 7 years older than me. My sister's husband's 11 years older than her. I mean, it just, I know a lot of people who have a decent age gap.
The love is just love.
I don't know, just my opinion. I don't think they look vastly different in age at all. And I think maturity-wise, Maddie is very mature as well for her age. And I think they look good together. I think they're very cute. I have no problems with the fact that there's a 12-year age difference. So Christine's hair and makeup is now all done. And she says to the girls, what do you think? How do I look? And Aspen, so cute, came up to her and she's like, oh, Mom, you look great. You're going to get it tonight. And just the way that they like joke around with each other and that, like, if you're going to joke like that with your mom, then you're pretty close.
You're going to get it.
Oh God, that's my daughter. I hope so. I mean, it's not for nothing.
Back in the bachelor patty kind of cabin, Tony says to David, are you going to be nervous? And David said, no, I'm not going to be nervous. And he's like, I might be a little emotional. And Tony says, that's pretty close to nervous. Those are just two completely different emotions. But I don't get how that emotional is the same as nervous. I think one can lead to the other. Well, David goes on, he has to explain to Tony how these are different emotions.
I'll get emotional, just like
That's pretty close to nervous.
No, nervous is when you're freaking out. Emotional is all the being out there on the deck yesterday, looking over the whole deal and realizing that I'm marrying Christine, the love of my life, and it's awesome. It's just so cool to be here.
We have a couple clips here then where the girls that were all around the room, everybody's kind of sharing with Christine. They don't show everything, but they show some clips of people sharing with Christine about the first time either they met David or they realized he was the one or they saw that he was falling in love with her. Isabel had a really sweet thing to share about how David looked at her mom, and she adds that she's never seen that kind of love or words of love towards her mom ever before, and so she thought, okay, David's a good guy. He can stay.
He looked at you and he was like, oh, I love you so much. Like, just like honest and pure. And it was, I've never heard somebody say I love you that much to you. He wanted to be with you forever. Like forever.
Oh,
and it was like, oh, okay, I guess you can have my money. I guess.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank him.
And at the very end of that exchange is what I like the most. After Isabel was done, Christine said to her, thank you. And Isabel like instantly pulled up and she goes, no, she said, thank David. And I just loved that. It was so sincere. Then Maddie chimes in and she says, I love David.
I love David. Okay, so like when I met David,
I'm gonna cry. And I don't want to do this because I'm gonna cry.
I know. He loves you too.
I'm not gonna do it because I'm gonna cry.
Please do it.
And she starts to talk and she goes, oh, I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to cry. And Christine goes, no, it's okay. And then she started and she's like, no. And Christine's like, go ahead. I'd like to hear it. And
no, I just love him so much. Aww. He's so awesome. And I'm so happy for you.
Thanks. What's up?
It's just amazing. You get your fairy tale and I'm happy for you.
She couldn't do it. And then Christine went over and gave her a hug. And she's like, what's going on? She didn't, she just couldn't understand why Maddie was that emotional. And basically, Maddie just pulled it together and said, I just love him. I just think he's great for you. And I'm so happy for you. Just these tender moments with all the kids. It's like they are all one family. It's not like, oh, that wasn't Janelle's kid. Or that's, like it's just a blend of their kids. At this point, we have Christine reflecting on Maddie's wedding, and oh, Maddie was so beautiful on her wedding, just so pretty. And seeing Caleb up there wiping tears away as she was coming down the aisle. It was a beautiful wedding. And Christine said that on that day that Maddie got married, she just looked at Maddie and saw Maddie absolutely glowing. And Christine just thought, wow. She's just such a beautiful bride, and she's just glowing and beaming. And Christine thought, I missed out. I was not glowing on my wedding day. I was not beaming. It was not a great day. And she was really sad that day because of that. That was like the first time she really reflected back on her own wedding. So it was kind of a bummer. Kind of wrapping up this first episode with like, wah, wah, wah. But she goes on to say, however, today is different. I have been glowing for days leading up to this. And I'm definitely glowing on my wedding day because David loves me.
He loves me. And I've never been loved like this before.
And then they transition to the bridal suite. All the kids, Christine's kids are all with her. Peyton is carrying the dress because he's so tall that he could carry the dress and doesn't have to touch the bottom at all. I mean, he's so tall. How tall is Peyton? Is he like 6'7"? Or he is so tall. He had to duck to get indoors. How tall is a door jamb? I don't know. I'm not a builder. I'm not in construction. But he was ducking to get into doors. Wow, Peyton is tall. He is a full head taller than everybody else in the family. Christine ends it with that what she's feeling right now is the best feeling, and she hopes every bride feels that way on their wedding day. All right, not so sensational, not a lot to laugh at, but a lot to just kind of make you feel good and happy about the state of Christine's life right now. And that's all we have for the wedding episode, part 1. Next week, I'll cover part 2. Thanks for watching, everybody.